Okay, this is the review for our second unit test, Linear 2. So we're going to talk about the very first equation. And to answer it, which of the following statements is true about the graph f of x equals x and g of x equals f of x plus 7? All this is a transformation question. And all it's asking you is, how did I go from x to x plus 7? What are the changes? And so what we need to look at is that formula that we had. Y equals a times x minus 7 plus d. Well, this plus 7 is inside the parentheses. That's my c. When c is positive, like this is, that means we're going to the left. That means we're going to the left, which would make our answer right here. Now, let's say I couldn't remember what my, excuse me, what the transformation was. I'll have to go get a calculator. Hang on one moment. We can graph both of these in our calculator. So I'm going to come here with my calculator. I'm going to go to my y equals. I'm going to type in x for the first equation. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to type in x plus 7. I'm going to type in graph. There's my first equation. There's my second. We can see it either went up or it went to the left. Looking at our answer choices, they don't have the same y-intercept, right? One is here, one is here. It's not to the right. That would have moved it here. 7 units down would have moved it here. So C has to be your answer. You can always graph if you don't remember. Okay. Looking at number 2, we're going to use the same process. Same process. This is my original. This is my new. So I'm going to go to my calculator. Y equals. Clear out my old stuff. Come up here. We're going to type in x. And our second equation, we're going to type in 5x. I'm going to hit graph again, and I'm going to see. There's my original, my parent. And look, there's my new one. Well, their y-intercepts are the same. So this one, different y-intercepts, that's gone. They don't have the same slope. Otherwise, they'd be right on top of each other. Now we need to determine, is this more steep or less steep? And if it's going in this direction, that means it's steeper. Our new slope is 5. That is steeper, meaning our answer is A. If it was flatter or compressed or less steep, the graph would be somewhere down here. Okay? Now our next one, it's asking us which graph is a translation of f of x if we shift 7 units to the left. Now this one, our calculator is not going to be able to help us out too much. But what we can do is go back to our top equation up here and say, hey, what letter corresponds to left? And we know that's C. Well, C is inside my parentheses. So my 7 has to be inside of a parentheses. And look what happens. Here's my answer. We don't even have to reference that. If to go left, it has to be positive. Because remember, your I, had, right, and over. Inside is your horizontal. Make sure I spell this right. And it is opposite of what you would naturally think. Normally, we would think left means negative. That's what we naturally think, right? We go to the left, those are my negative numbers. But it is the opposite. So if we want to go to the left, it has to be positive. Okay? All right. Looking at our next equation. This one is a little bit trickier, number 4. What is the effect of the graph of f of x equals 2x plus 1 and g of x equals 8 times f of x? Really complicated, but what we can do is use our fancy calculator again. So clear out everything, and we're going to come up here, and we're going to type in for f of 1, 2x plus 1. That's my original equation. Come down to the second one, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say 8 times my original equation. So I'm going to do 8 parentheses and then plug this in. 2x plus 1. Now I'm going to graph it. I'm going to see what happens. There's my original. There's my new. If the graph looks a little funny, we can definitely zoom in. So hit your zoom button, go down to in, and hit enter one time. And now we're really going to be able to see the differences. We can clearly see for our original line, that's our slope. Our new line, our slope is way up here off the graph. I'm sorry, our y-intercepts. I apologize. Our y-intercept for our original is here. Our y-intercept for our new one is way up here. Their y-intercepts are not the same. So look right here, answer D. Boom, I can eliminate that. Okay? Here, answer B, the y-intercepts do not change. Boom, I can answer that. Take rid of it. Now, looking at our slope, this one is extremely steeper than this one. Our slopes are not the same, are they? So now, look what happens. They do not have the same graph. Our answer is A. Okay? So when in doubt, always plug into your calculator. All right. Now, number 5. We're going to go back to arithmetic for right now, so you don't need the calculator so much. Finding the slope. Now, a lot of you, when we have two ordered pairs, there's two different ways to do this. We can use our calculator trick if we need to, or we can actually plug into the formula. Now, on your test, we're not going to give you the formula to calculate this, but look what we have in our classroom. A handy-dandy formula chart. And if you look, ooh, there's a glare. Try to get rid of that glare. If you look right here, the slope of a line from two ordered pairs is right there. So you don't have to memorize it. It's right there. I'm going to write that on my paper so I can reference it. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And then what I've always told my kids are, we're going to label our ordered pairs. This is x1, y1. This is x2 and y2. We need to make sure we have all of that labeled. Okay. Now I'm just going to plug and chug. My y2 value is 3 minus my y1 value, which is negative 3, divided by my x2 value is 9 minus my x1 value of 7. Now I'm going to just do a little arithmetic. Remember, when we subtract a negative, we really end up adding it. So 3 plus 3 is 6. 9 minus 7 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And there is our slope. Make sure you follow your formula. Now let's say, ooh, Miss K, I've got issues. I'm going to go in my calculator and double check. I'm not so great at my arithmetic. We can go do our regression and actually look and see if my slope is the same. So stat, go into edit. We want to plug and chug right now. We're going to put 7 as that ordered pair, and we're going to put in negative 3. So there's my first ordered pair. Now I'm going to type in 9, and I'm going to type in 3. So I have both ordered pairs on my spreadsheet. Now I'm going to hit stat again, and now I want to calculate. We're working on linear, so we're going to scroll down to 4. Hit enter. We're going to enter, 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 enter. And look what our slope becomes. A equals 3. So that just verified that our slope is 3. Okay. Now this lovely ordered pair, or this word problem, we're going to go ahead and read it first. And we're going to underline important information as we're going. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperatures can be modeled by a linear function, which equation best describes the Fahrenheit temperature based on the Celsius temperature? All it's asking us to do is to write an equation. A lot of numbers there, but I can create ordered pairs. And the way I'm going to create it is, I'm going to create it as the Celsius information, comma, the Fahrenheit information. So my first ordered pair is going to be my Celsius, 100, comma, 212. My next ordered pair is going to be 0, that's my Celsius information, comma, 32 for my Fahrenheit. Now I can either do the calculator or I can do point slope. In this situation, since these numbers are really ugly, I would suggest using your calculator. Again, we're going to clear it out. Second plus 7, 1, 2. Second plus 712 clears out your calculator. I'm going to hit stat, edit again, and I'm going to load in my information. 100, 0. Come over here to 12 and 32. Now I'm going to calculate my equation. Stat, calculate. We're back to linear still, right? It even says it in the equation. Linear function. Hit enter, 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 enter. And look what it gives us. Remember, it's in mx plus b format. So my m is 1.8 and my b is 32. So that tells us F or B is our answer right there. Okay? That is how you would set it up. Now we're going to talk about finding the slope again from two ordered pairs. You can use the calculator tool, or we can go back to our equation. Since I just showed you the calculator, I'm going to go back to our formula so we can practice that again. Again, I don't have to memorize it. It is on my formula chart. So I'm going to write that on my paper. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And now, again, label your ordered pairs, x1, y1, x2, y2. Now I know where I'm going. My y2 value is negative 2 minus my y1 value of 4 divided by 10 minus negative 2. Now earlier I said, remember, if you subtract a negative, you're going to add. Well, what if, Miss K, I just can't remember that? I can use my handy-dandy calculator. Negative 2 minus 4 gives me negative 6. Now I can type in 10 minus negative 2, and it does the addition for me. Okay? Again, if we need to reduce a fraction, negative 6 divided by 12. It gives me a decimal. In algebra, we're not big fans of decimals. So my calculator, it's such a good tool. I can go to Math, Fraction, hit Enter again, and it gives me my simplified fraction of negative 1/2. And there is your slope. So use this tool wisely. It's a great tool, but you got to know how to use it. Okay, next one. Number 8. Number 8. So before, give me one moment. I apologize. No, before we wrote a slope using the y2 minus y1. From a graph, we use rise over run. Rise over run. So I'm going to plot my 2 points. Okay, well, there's one. There's the other one. I'm going to count how many boxes did I go up. 1, 2, and 3. That's my rise. Then I'm going to count how many I went to the left. There's 1. Since I went that way, it is a negative. Remember, in my class, we call her slope woman, right? A woman can be just as smart as a man. Remember, when your line goes in that direction, it is a negative slope. Okay, I'm going to just draw the whole thing so she doesn't look so goofy, right? Okay, when your line goes this way, it's a negative slope. Now, our format, y equals mx plus b. And you're like, Miss K, I don't remember that. Again, we're not going to give it to you, but look right here. Slope-intercept form. And look right there. It's on your paper again. I would pick one up before your test. Okay? So we calculated our m, right? This was our negative 3 was our m. Now I got to calculate my b. Man, I forget what b was. B is your y-intercept. It's that ordered pair. Y-intercept is where does this line cross the y-axis. So I'm going to follow my line down, and it hits right here. So now I need to find out what is the value of that ordered pair. Well, there's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So it is 0, negative 3. So now this negative 3 value goes in here. My equation becomes negative 3x minus 3. Okay? You have the tools, you just have to use them. Okay, let's talk about this one. All right, well, I'm going to do my rise over my run again. I started here. I went up 1 over, right? We went up 1 over 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember from our slope woman, I'm going to bring my paper project down, lines that go this direction are positive. Okay? Now, I'm going to write it with my y-intercept. Again, y equals mx plus b. We have our m. We need to find our b. Our b value is right here. Well, we went up 1, 2. So my ordered pair is 0, 2. There's my b value. I can write my equation as 1/4 x plus 2. I'm going to find that over here, and look what I found. There it is. All right. Well, those were great. I had my y-intercept. But if we look at number 10, down here, Miss K, what do I do when I don't have a clean y-intercept? Well, we're going to have to write it in point-slope form. Again, do I have to memorize that? Absolutely not. Point-slope form, it's right here. All three of your equations that you're going to need are right here. No need to worry about it. Just pick up a formula chart so you know what to look at. So I'm going to write that equation again because that's the first thing you need to do. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Fantastic. Now I'm going to do my rise over my run. I can still do that. Doesn't matter if I have a y-intercept. How many boxes did I go up? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I went up 4. Now I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because I went to the left, you have to remember your slope woman, it is a negative. Again, if we're struggling on how to reduce that, get your handy-dandy calculator out. Negative 4 divided by 6. Oh, it gave me that decimal. That's all right. You can do math. Make sure you pick fraction. Hit enter again. And look, it gives me negative 2 over 3. So that is my m. Now, oh Lord, look at all of these, Miss K. I need to pick a point. I can use either point. And in this case, Miss K gave you both answers. So we're going to work both problems. Okay, maybe I should get a different color pen so we can see the differences. All right. Here is a pink pen. Okay, so we're going to pick this ordered pair first. This one right there. That value of that ordered pair is 1, 2, 3. We went over 3 and we didn't go up any. So this is my x1 and my y1. Always label your points so you know where to plug it in. Now I'm going to work on, here's my formula. Y minus my y1 value. Well, that's a 0. Okay. My m value of negative 2/3 times x. Now remember, if it's a positive here, it's the opposite, so it becomes a minus 3. All right. Do I really need this y minus 0? I'm going to simplify just a little. Do I need this? No. It goes away. Y equals negative 2/3 x minus 3. Okay, and look right here. There is that first one. All right, well, what if I pick the other order pair? Well, that's okay. We can work with that as well. The value of that ordered pair, we went, remember, you do your x first. 1, 2, 3. We went negative 3, and then we went up 1, 2, 3, and 4. So x1, y1. My x1 value, all right, so now we're going to plug in chug, okay? Y, I'm looking at my y1 value is 4. If it's positive 4 here, it becomes a minus 4 over here. My slope still stayed the same. That didn't change. X, now this is a negative 3. Since this is negative, it becomes a plus 3 over here. And as you can see, that answer is right here. On the quizzes, you need to select both in order for it to give you credit. All right, number 11. Ooh, talking about equations still. So again, if you've got these ordered pairs, well, let's go through our calculator steps again, because that would be great, right? That would be really, really helpful. Let's go through our calculator steps again. So stat, edit. Oh, I forgot to clear it out. So we can do that. Second plus 712. Gets rid of everything. Now hit stat, edit, type in -1, enter. Come over here, type in your 9. Okay, well now let's type in 2. Let's type in 3. Okay, I got my information in. I'm going to want it to calculate. So stat, calc. We're on linear, so scroll down to 4, hit enter. Enter, 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 enter. There's my equation. Is that information there? It sure is. Right here. It sure is. C. Got it. Okay. What happens if I didn't get that information, though? And I'm going to get a dry erase board because we are running out of room on that paper. What happens if I didn't have that information? What if that answer wasn't there? What if it was in point slope format? Ooh, that's blurry. Wonder if once I start writing, it'll kick in. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Remember, if I have a point and a slope, we can write in point slope format. But first, did they give me a slope? I got to calculate it. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I'm going to label this ordered pair x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're going to work through the process. Okay? y2 is 3 minus 9 divided by 2 minus negative 1. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. When I simplify, I get a negative 2 for my slope. Okay? This is your m value. Now again, I'm going to have all of my formulas here on my formula chart. So I don't need to worry about really memorizing them. I'm going to write it again to help me know where I'm going. Y minus y1. This is in point slope format. Now I'm going to plug and chug. I'm going to use this first equation first. That first ordered pair, I apologize. Okay? Y minus, it's a positive here, so it becomes a negative here, equals, I calculated my slope, equals, ooh, Lord have mercy, times x, it's negative 1 here, it becomes a positive 1 here. Okay? Now, wait, Ms. K, that's not there. Well, I can simplify. First thing we need to do is solve for y. We have to distribute. What I mean by distribute is multiply to everything inside that parentheses. So it becomes y minus 9 equals negative 2x, because negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 1 becomes negative 2. Now all I got to do is get that y by itself. I'm going to add 9. That makes it go away. And the cardinal rule of algebra is what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Y equals negative 2x plus 7. Bam. Same answer. Oop, let me move that up. Same answer. Ms. K, what would I have done if I had picked the other ordered pair? Good question. Let's try it and see if it works the other way. Okay? Again, I'm going to use this ordered pair now. So y, it's positive here, becomes a minus 3 here. My slope is negative 2. X, positive here, becomes a minus 2. Now to simplify, I'm going to take this negative 2 and distribute, meaning to multiply. Y minus 3 equals negative 2x plus 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. Now I'm going to get rid of this negative 3. To get rid of it, I got to add 3. I got to do the opposite. Again, cardinal rule for algebra. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Y is equal to negative 2x plus 7. Again, I ended up, it doesn't matter which way you do it, you end up with the same result either way. Okay, let's look at number 12. Ooh, it's asking us which line, the line created by this equation, passes through which of the following points. So I need to pull out my points. Again, my formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I know my 4 is my y1 value. Just like when we plug it into the equation like we did up here, we took the opposite value, we got to do the same thing here. So if it's a positive 4 here, it becomes a negative 4 in my ordered pair. If it's a negative 9 here, it becomes a positive 9 here. And look, here is your answer. So the main thing you need to remember is if it is opposite, you need to, the main thing you need to remember is if you're putting it in, it's opposite, and if you're taking it out, it is opposite. Okay? Now, we're going to calculate slope. Just like we calculated from a graph as rise over run, we calculated from two ordered pairs with our formula, we're going to calculate this with change of y over change of x. A lot of you like to say, use the carets, Miss Kay. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do it on all these tables. It's not going to take very long. So what we're going to do is, how did I get from 5 to 7? I added 2. Make sure you put that plus with it. How did I get from 7 to 8? Well, I added 1. Remember, x's on your tables, they are always x and then y's, okay? On the test, it'll be a little bit clearer. From negative 2 to 2, I said, hey, I went up 4. From 2 to 4, I went up 2. Now I'm going to do my change of y over change of x. So 2 divided by 4, or 1 divided by 2. Okay, it's asking me which table shows the same rate as negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 is what we're looking for. So we know A is not it. I'm going to change colors so we don't get lost in all this blue over here. Okay, over here, from 4 to 3, we subtracted 1. From 3 to 7, we added 4. Man, this doesn't look good, Miss Kay. Well, we're going to do our ratios just the same. 4 to 6, we added 2. From 6 to negative 2, we subtracted 8. Change of y over change of x. Negative 1 divided by 2. Oh, that's what we're looking for. Let's make sure all of them are like that. 4 divided by negative 8. Well, use your handy-dandy calculator to reduce. 4 divided by negative 8. Get my fraction. Math, enter, enter. Negative 1/2. Ooh, that looks promising. But we're going to check them all out. Because what happens if it said which one is not the right answer? We want to make sure all the other ones we can eliminate. So from negative 14 to 4, I added 10. From negative 4 to 6, I added 10. Now I'm going to come over here. From negative 5 to 0, I added 5. From 0 to 5, I added 5. Change of y over change of x. 10 over 5, well, that reduces down to 2. 10 over 5, that's not what we're looking for. All right, last one. Let me get one more color. Well, hopefully this red looks a little, there's a green. Let me grab a green. Okay. From 3 to 3, negative 3, we subtracted 6. From negative 3 to negative 7, we subtracted 4. 2 to 5, we added 3. 5 to 7, we added 2. Let's find our last change of y over change of x. Negative 6 over 3 gives me negative 2. Well, that didn't work. Negative 4 over 2 also gives me negative 2. So my correct answer has to be this one right here, B, because that's the only one that gave me negative 1. Okay, just like we did, I'm going to use that pink. I really like that pink. It's bright and happy. From that table right here, same thing, we're going to use change of y over change of x. Well, how did I get from 10 to 15? I added 5. How did I get from 15 to 20? I added 5 as well. How do I get from negative 4 to negative 6? I subtract 2. How do I get from negative 6 to 8? I subtract 2 as well. Change of y over change of x. 5 divided by negative 2. Well, Ms. Kay, I'm not so good at arithmetic. What if I just struggle with that? I can plug this table in and get my slope. So I'm going to hit Stat, Edit. Oop, I forgot to clear it out. Second plus 712. Stat, Edit. And now I'm going to type it in. I got negative 4. I got negative 6. I got negative 8. I'm going to come over here. 10, 15, and 20. Now I'm going to calculate. Stat, Calc. We're going to come down to 4, hit Enter, 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 and look what my slope is, negative 2.5. Well, mine says negative 5 halves. Well, can I not just go negative 5 divided by 2? Uh-oh, what did I get? Same information, okay? All right, let's flip to the next one. Another table. Same thing. Change of y over change of x. So from 5 to 2, I subtracted 3. Notice how I'm always putting plus or minus. That's going to help us to know if this slope is positive or negative. From 2 to negative 1, I subtracted 3 again. Negative 1 to negative 4, and negative 4 to negative 7. All right, what about my x's? Added 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So I'm going to have my change of y, negative 3, divided by positive 1, or just negative 3. You may also plug that into the table if you want. That's a rather large one. But again, if that's the way you want to do it, that's perfectly fine. Now we're going to look at this one. It's a really small graph. I think if you get on the computer, we can make that graph a lot bigger, okay? So this down here says minutes. Because remember, time is always x. Over here it says words. Okay? It's about Taylor, I guess. And we want to know how many words per minute. What does that per word mean? It means they want us to find our slope or our rate of change. Look how I get through in that vocab word. Rate of change. Okay? So I know it's tiny. Again, I think, if you get online, it would be a lot prettier, okay? So, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's right here. And that ordered pair is 50 and 2, okay? So I'm going to do my rise over my run. I go up 50 divided by 2 minutes. Well, again, 50 divided by 2 gets me 25. Well, Ms. K, there's 2 with 25. These gone, right? Bye. I've got 2. What does it mean? Well, you put your formula, put your words, your labels into your rise over your run. I went and did my words first per minute. Your y over your x. Your rise over your run. I went up 50 words over 2 minutes, okay? So it becomes words per minute. And there's a big thing. This is minutes and this is hours. Pay attention to your variables. C is your correct answer. Ooh, here's another vocab word. I love this vocab word. Remember, I told my class there are going to be 4 different words for x-intercepts. We're going to only talk about 2 of them in this unit. So x-intercept means the same thing as 0. When we get into quadratics, we're going to have 2 more words. It's crazy, but that's all right. All I want to find is my x-intercept. And remember, your x-intercept is where does it cross this x-axis? Right there. And what value is that? -1. That's all it's asking you to do. Do not say 0 is your y-intercept. I guarantee you the answer, it already is, isn't it? Right here. Your y-intercept will be an answer. Even on the STAR test, it will be an answer. X-intercept is a 0. X-intercept is your 0, not y-intercept. All right, we're almost done here. Number 18. Let me get a sip of water because I am talking a bunch. Okay. Troy graphed the line of the equation f of x equals 5x plus 2. Sarah graphed the line of the equation g of x equals 5x minus 2 on the same coordinate plane. Which of the following statements best describes the line? Well, we all like to see a visual, right? Let's just graph it in our graphing calculator. We're going to y equals button. First one we're going to write is 5x plus 2. Come down to the other one so we can see and compare 5x minus 2. Now it's going to graph this first one first, so pay attention. Hit the graph button. So there's my original, and what happens to my other one? Ooh, it came this way. Well, let's figure it out. Less steep. Well, that means my slope had to have changed. And did my slope change at all? And if you can see right here, definitely not. They're parallel lines. So this one and this one are gone. Now it's asking, did it shift up or did it shift down? And I'm going to, again, we went from this line first, and then we went down 4 units. Okay? If you didn't want to see that, could I also see, hey, look, my d value, remember that formula again. A times x minus c plus d. These 2's are not inside my parentheses. They're outside, aren't they? Well, if I went from a positive 2 to a negative 2, that means I had to go down 4 units. Okay? Vertical shift down. All right, now it's asking us to compare these graphs. Same thing using this fancy formula right there. Y equals 3/4 x minus 2 and y equals 3/4 x plus 4 minus 2. Well, what's the difference? Right here. Well, now it's asking for special things. Let's graph it. Let's see what the difference is. Clear out everything in your y equals. Okay? We have 3 divided by 4x minus 2. We have, and I think we're going to have to use we're going to use 0.75 just because we don't want it to mess up. 0.75x minus 2. We're going to do the same thing down here. 0.75 x plus 4 minus 2. Now we're going to graph them again. There's my original, and there's the extra one, the second one. They have the exact same slope. So, all right, well, are their y-intercepts the same? Absolutely not. Do they intersect? Do they ever touch? We're going to talk about that way later at Christmas time. No. Do they have the same x-intercept? Absolutely not. So the lines are equally steep, and you can see that by the same slope as 3/4. Okay, let's come down to number 20 here. Miss Sarah is graphing this function, and she wants to show a vertical stretch. Well, stretch affects our slope. It does not affect our y-intercept. So this negative 12 should stay the same. Well, that means I can eliminate B and C automatically. B and C are gone. Let me do that a little bit better. I feel like y'all can see the blue a little bit better. You may have to change back pens. Now, vertical stretch. Well, stretch means to get bigger, right? If you think about it, I'm stretching something out. If it's being compressed, that's when I'll do it this way. So you can say compressed, squishing it, that makes it smaller. So I need to see which slope is bigger. Well, is 6 bigger than 3 or is 1 bigger than 3? 6 is definitely bigger than 3. Okay? We're going to analyze number 21, same way. Okay, which ones are related? So it's saying, hey, I have my original function, and I don't know what it is, and that's okay. But I want to now go plus 2. Well, looking back at our formula again, I'm going to write it again. This plus 2 is inside my parentheses. That means it's going to go left or right. Since it's positive, that means it's going to be shifted left 2. All right, so now let's look at that. I want to go left 2. This is saying up by. This is saying to the right. That would be an x minus 2. This is saying down. That would be outside. So your correct answer is C, to the left 2 units. Okay? Oop, looking at Vroom over here. Vroom car shop charges an hourly labor fee plus the cost of parts. Jenny's equation to fix her car is y equals 65x plus 110. Henry goes to the same shop and his equation is y equals 65x plus 80. What changes? So let's look at that. Remember our base equation is y equals mx plus b. So my slope is my m. Their slopes are the same. That means their rate doesn't change. Those are gone. My rate stayed the same. My b value changed. And in this case, my b value went from 110 to 80. Okay, well, if that's my b value, right, my cost of my parts, the cost of the parts had to be less expensive, right? We'd rather be paying $80 than $110. All right. Now this number 23 is super duper duper small. Hopefully on the equation or on the computer you can see these graphs a lot better. They print it out very, very tiny. Okay? What you want to do is you need to make sure you do your rise over your run. And remember your, as I'm going to call her, slope woman. Positive this way, negative that way. Undefined, 0, okay? And in this case, the only one, and I can even, two of them, are -3. These two, A and C, are not even. Those are positive graphs, okay? So just to let you know, the correct answer should be B. When you do your rise over your run, B is the correct answer. All right, looking at this, y-intercept of 0, 3. Meaning, where does it cross the line at my y-intercept? Again, these graphs are tiny. I think if you pull them up on the computer, on the quizzes, it'll look a lot better. Which one is positive? Well, +3 would be up here. It's not this one, right? B's gone. It's not this one, D, because that would be way up here. Now, this is a slope of +1. Remember back to your slope woman, right? Positive slope is going in this direction. I can eliminate this one, A, just from the look at it. So did I have to calculate anything? It's just the look from the graph, and I'm able to determine the answer. Last page. All right. Again, these graphs are really, really blurry, but that's okay. I'm going to go back to my slope woman. Again, she looks a little lopsided here because I didn't draw her very well. Positive, negative. Remember, the U, her little nose, means undefined. And then remember her dimples on her mouth. Her dimples mean a 0 slope, okay? So this one is asking for a slope of 0, meaning I'm going to find a horizontal line. Well, that only leaves me with option 3. Draw your slope. It could be worth some points. Okay, same thing here. It's asking for undefined. I want her nose, the straight up and down one. That has to be D. This is just something you're going to have to remember. And once you do, these are easy points on the test. All right, last question. And I think we should have all given you these values in class. So -13, 4, -9 and 7, -5 and 10, -1, 13, 3 and 16, and then 6 and 19. Now it wants us to write the equation in point-slope format. Before I can do that, I have to find my slope. So I need to do my change of y over change of x. Change of y over change of x. So how did I go from 4 to 7? I added 3. 7 to 10, 10 to 13. I've got the gist. 13 to 9, I added 4. -9 to -5, I added 4. Again, I've got the gist. Our slope, change of y over change of x, equals 3 over 4. There's my m value, right? Now, it's in point-slope format. Again, do I have to memorize that? The answer is no, it's right on my formula chart. I'm going to write that down. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Ms. K, what ordered pair am I going to use? Well, I can see they using the one that has 10 and 5. Those are the ones in my answer choice. I'm going to pull those out. This is the ordered pair I want. And I'm going to see if I can label that a little bit better. So I'm going to pull that entire point out as -5 and 10. x1, y1. Now I know I have all three pieces. I can plug it in. Y, oh, this is a 10. It's positive here. It becomes a -10 in my equation. My m is 3 over 4. X, -5. It becomes a +5. I'm going to just find my answer. And we're done. Good job, guys. Study hard for your test tomorrow.